Oh, is this you?
Okay.
Welcome to Sydney's video.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, my brother and I did a photo shoot for my senior pictures, and this isn't like all my senior pictures, it's just one of the outfits, and we did like graffiti photos kind of. So we're just gonna do kind of behind the scenes and talk about some tips for if you want to do photography and stuff like that.
We're going to talk about everything.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about what lenses we used, the camera we used, stuff like that.
Some tips on portrait photography.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so let's get started. So first of all, what camera did you use?
I use a Sony A7S Mark II. It's a great camera for taking photos and videos in situations where you need to use natural light. A lot of photographers use flashes or some other source of light that helps them out, but we really just use what was at our disposal, the sun, the clouds, anything. And I think it turned out really great.
Me too. So what lenses did we use for the photos?
I have 4 lenses that we used. I'll go from widest to closest. The widest that we used was a 14mm Rokinon autofocus prime lens. This was an amazing lens to capture both the subject and the background, and we used it in situations where I wanted to get a very clear image of Sydney, but also get a very clear image of where she was. One of my other favorite lenses to use was my 35mm Zeiss prime lens. That is a high quality lens that really is just one of those nice all-around kind of lenses. We're using it right now actually, and it's not too close, it's not too far. It still keeps a sharp image, but it also has that nice autofocus feature. It gets a really good subject image, and you can kind of choose how much of the background you want to show. I had the 14 to 35, now I'm at the 50. I'm using, or I have used, a Rokinon 50mm autofocus lens. That is the loudest lens I've ever had in my entire life. I'm actually gonna get rid of it because I can't use it for video.
But we still took some really good pictures with it.
It takes phenomenal pictures.
So if you're looking for photography and not filming, then that's a good lens. But
oh, it is. It's a great lens for photography. When we're talking about the 50mm, it's the best reciprocation of the human eye. When someone does like this to an image, extending your hands out and doing this is essentially the image that a 50mm lens is supposed to reproduce. I also did take some of your really nice close-up pictures with my 85mm Rokinon. That one was a manual focus lens though, so I had to like fine-tune it, but that really was one of the nice ones where you blurred out a really pretty like colorful background or a really pretty like themed background, and you didn't really have to focus on it, but you saw those nice colors, but you still got that really sharp image, that really sharp subject, and it just focuses on you.
Okay, so do you have any like tips, I guess, for like beginning photographers or like models, I guess, because you kind of tried to tell me how to pose and stuff, like
well,
and angles.
There's really 2 ways to approach portrait photography, which is what we're doing. There's scenic photography, there's a whole bunch, different kind of things you can do. As far as portrait photography is concerned, you're focused on your model and you're focused on your image and your frame. Equipment aside, when you work with, a camera, you have to have like a photographer's eye in order to like see how it is and like frame it. You have to make the perfect frame for your picture. I can't really teach that. You can't teach creativity.
That's true.
But as far as being a good photographer working with models, I like to refer to it as something that I do in filmography. When I'm working on an animation project right now, and one of the most essential things that I've learned is you have to animate 2 things at once on the same screen because it looks more natural. So if you have an animation figure turning its head, you want to have an animation figure also turning another part of its body, or like moving something else at the same time. You can't just do one thing at a time because it's not realistic. I'm moving my hands, my mouth at the same time. You know, that's realistic. So when you come to still images, you want to create that realistic look and feel. And in order to do that, you have to have your subject doing one thing or looking at one thing and doing another. So for a lot of your images,
like when I was like touching the wall and like looking at the camera kind of.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
That's the one I had back on there.
Some of those are the best. I love those. But yeah, you were looking at the camera, but you were also doing something else with your hands, your body, or your feet. Or you were facing the camera, but you're doing something else with your eyes or your head, you know? Because it looks too staged if you just face the camera and pose.
We had some photos that looked too staged.
We did.
And like, I don't know, it was hard for me to be like comfortable around the camera, but like I got used to it, and I feel like the more used to it I was, like the better the pictures looked. Because when people were watching me, when I was like getting my pictures taken, I was like, oh my god, what do I do? Like, they're just standing there staring at me. I felt like I didn't know what to do, but then when they were gone, I felt like, I was like, okay, now I know what to do.
A lot of people were making comments about what we were doing while we were doing it.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But like, see, at the same time, they also were like admiring what we were doing because we were making art. People respect that, you know?
I know, people were just watching us smiling.
Yeah.
Like we were doing like a show or something. They were like, wow, this is interesting.
I'm a true believer that you should be yourself. As much as I don't want to edit out your blemishes and your freckles, I'll do it because you want me to sometimes.
Yeah, I'm
like
insecure about that. I prefer them to be gone.
Little things. Not like complete over digital makeup Photoshop.
Like it still looks like me.
Yeah.
But you know,
but
just
like,
improve.
But here's you make the image look as nice as you can, you know, but you don't over Photoshop. I'm a true believer. You
I know, I agree.
You know, you got to keep that natural look. It's kind of like the no makeup look, but for like photos.
That's like a really good way of putting it. That was a really good way of putting it. So we're actually gonna move to the computer, and my brother's gonna show you how he edits one of the photos. We're gonna pick a photo, and he's just gonna like kind of preview how to use Photoshop and how we decided to edit the picture.
I'll go through that for sure.
And then at the end of this, I'll have all of the pictures that we took, like all the ones we chose, and I'll just put them like a little slideshow at the end so you can see.
So for this image, I started with the sepia effect. I really like the antique look, but then I started to like add the darks in the front and bring the lights out in the back. And eventually flattened it out more, but I had to bring her face out in the end so that it was a little bit brighter. I liked the color and I stuck with it. And then I moved on to this one, which had a lot of color. So I just brought that out with a lot of vibrancy. Again, lightened her face, gave her a little bit more skin tones, a lot more clarity. I liked it a little bit more bluish. And then we moved on to one with a lot of colors. And so I wanted to bring out each of the colors, a bit more contrast, and then bring out the yellows, push in the greens, and that came out pretty good as a collage. But this one here is one of my favorites. I worked on it a little bit longer than the rest because I couldn't really decide what to do. There were so many options, either the grayscale look, the color, you know, vibrancy, the darker colors, the tint. I couldn't tell, so I just made it. It turned out to be a really clear image, but I couldn't decide for the longest time what was wrong with her legs. And so I decided, oh man, they're too pink. And so I just tried to whiten them up and like make them look a little bit more normal. It took me a minute, but finally got it. Lightroom is what I use, and I also use Photoshop, and they're great programs. It does take a while to get to learn though.
I thought we were gonna end up doing a bookstore for this outfit, but then my brother found some graffiti when he was randomly driving around, and we were like, okay, let's use that. Alright, so that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found it helpful and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
If you have any other tips or anything you want to get from me,
my brother has a YouTube channel, so I will put him in the description
I really
below.
I don't YouTube. I use my website, garrettleon.com.
Well, you should YouTube. I feel like
I should YouTube.
I think you could do videos. You could do videos like this.
I Vimeo.
But yeah. All right. Well, that's it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.